Hi, Dave. Let's check. Let's check if we're live. We've not done it like this for a number of years, have we?
I might get rid of some of the debris that sort of sat here, and stuff it in this.
I was going to say you've definitely got your collection there, Dave.
Yeah, well, no, this is weirdly is not only the cup is mine.
Well, I'm glad.
Oh, everybody, look. It's Jen.
Nice.
See, she does
good to see you, Jen.
No one knows.
Right, let's wait for some people to arrive and jump in the chat. I will check we are live over on Facebook. Let's have a look. I know it's a little bit of a different setup today. Can you hear me okay, Dave? Can't hear you, Dave?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, yeah.
Nice. You're coming in quiet, but that's all right. I think.
Am I coming in quite quiet, am I? Is that because of the, hang on, I might be able to change the...
There we go, you're live, Dave. I can see. Look at that smiley face there, lovely. Hey, chaps, how you doing? Who's in the comments then? Hey, Andy. Andy the Postie, awesome. And Marky V, good to see you on here, mate. Happy New Year to the guys.
Marky V, I think has got to be... Marky V's got to be the most consistent viewer, I think, because we had some other guys. We had remember Jerome? He used to come on and watch, didn't he? And now he's retired. Yeah, exactly. But Marky V, he's the consistent one. I think at some point we're gonna have to get him a T-shirt that says the most consistent TTI viewer or something. I'll think of something a little more poetic than that. But yeah,
that's funny. COVID separation again. I know it's no, not this time. No, I'm working from home. Although actually, I know Dave, we've got the webinar tonight, so I will be in the office a bit later.
Yeah, so we're going to swap.
Yeah, we literally swap, won't we? Because you'll be at home, I'll be in the office. That's just typical. But yeah, Dave, I know we talked about what we're going to do in terms of the first live of the year, and I know certainly over Christmas and especially doing a bit of hiking, jackets became a theme of discussion.
Yeah, more than and I love this topic because I don't have to do any research in order to come across like I know what I'm talking about, because I am a bit of a gear degenerate and I've got so many jackets. But
whilst you're there, Dave, I will and something.
Have you got a show and tell? Have you, and anyway, how's it going, Elizabeth? Booked on EBC in October 2028. Amazing. That's going to be one of the further dates we have.
You have got some jackets today. Exactly.
Bry's here. Hey, Bri, Richard Johnston, how's it going? Yeah, no, and I think it's actually a good time to sort of revert back to type and talk about kit and jackets, because it's a weird time of year at the moment, especially sort of in Wales and Scotland and England. We're not entirely the most sort of summery place at the moment, but we've got snow, we've got wind, we've got rain. So it is important to have the right gears when you're outdoors to make sure that you're going to have a successful day in the hills. So yeah, jackets.
Exactly. And I wanted to focus on, I think we'll talk about obviously the down jackets, the ones for particular trips as well, because I know we do a broad scope of trips and people are always asking, okay, I've got a down jacket, and I've been to EBC or I've done Killy, but I'm going to take on Island Peak, or I'm going to, I've bought a jacket that's pretty lofty, but I've used it for EBC. Will it be okay for Peru?
Yeah.
So I think it's good just to chat about those, and because I think as well with down jackets, there's so many different ones where you can get ones that are more stylish, and then you get others that are so lofty and more functional, more technical than the other ones. So it's just really just bring that discussion point. I think also as well we'll chat about waterproofs, different types of waterproofs. All about the ones that certainly on certain trips like Killy or Everest Base Camp lower down, or other trips where you can have more rain. Sometimes in Peru, and then we'll talk about layers as well. So obviously using something like a Gore-Tex jacket, actually a lot of people tend to use that more than say a down jacket whilst actually doing the trekking, where the down jacket really is something that you would put on when it in evenings or when it gets really, really cold. So I think, I suppose you could call that temperature management.
Yeah. I mean, temperature management, layering, and
all good.
Generally speaking, it's one type of thing where I found that I've never started off with a setup that will work in every single condition that I'm experiencing that day. That's why layering is so important. The whole purpose is not to turn yourself into Shrek. Have a set of layers to stay with you for life on that day. it's so you can peel them off and peel them back on again.
Yeah.
That's part and parcel of what it's like to be trekking in the mountains in changeable conditions. You know, I know for a fact there was one day on the most recent Machu Picchu trip where we started off and went up over the Tocto Pass. And I know for a fact that when I started off, I was really cold. So I had like a base layer and a mid layer, and then a Gore-Tex jacket. During that process of climbing up to Tocto, I stripped off basically down to my base layer. Then when we got to the very summit, I had all of those layers plus a down jacket.
Yeah.
And then we finished off the day in the rain, so I had that poncho on, you know, and and I'm constantly switching between layers and things like that. So it is important, one, to factor in that you've got the right sort of jackets for the right environment, but also that, you know, you perhaps not just bring in one, you know, like a down jacket, for instance.
Yeah.
You think, oh, that's great, that's really good when the going gets really cold and stuff like that. But in actual fact, to walk and actually trek in that down jacket, it's got to be like minus 20. You know,
exactly. It's got to be quite an epic, isn't it? To actually,
yeah.
Because I think one thing about any jacket is that it's either waterproof or breathable, and it's rarely both.
Yeah.
And obviously with down jackets, not that they're waterproof, but they always say they're water repellent, which basically means they don't work. The down might be treated hydrophobic down, but you're still going to get wet essentially.
No, I've never. In fact, I don't like the term waterproof because
ooh, okay,
it doesn't exist unless you buy one of those ones that, you know, fishermen wear that are basically a rubber suit. You know, it doesn't work. You know, you are going to get wet. However, you're dead right there with like Gore-Tex, even Gore-Tex Pro, and you could buy a £600 Arc'teryx jacket and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guarantee that if the weather's bad enough, it will leak.
Exactly.
But it's about, you know, one of the other things is you know, about bringing sort of more than one item. So for instance, when I go trekking, and I actually did this because I used to sweat a lot more, is like spare base layers, spare mid layer, or even like a spare Gore-Tex or something like that. All of these things make a huge difference.
Exactly. And it's and just to give a shout out as well to everyone, obviously I know we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram today, but I see on Instagram Muddy Greek runs layer in for Greece in October. That's a good talking point actually. As an ultra runner, I'm familiar with some layering, usually synthetic. Keen to hear about alternatives for slower pace at a bit of slight altitude. Going to Summit Mitikat. It's a great point. We'll definitely touch on the layering, and certainly for Greece, because I think Dave, we summited Mitikas back in August.
Yeah,
and I think certainly for us, which is our first ever trek trips out there, and it was absolutely fantastic trip. Certainly these questions came up, didn't they, around, okay, it's Greece. So Greece in August automatically thinks I'm going to burn to death because it's so hot. But actually, because of the height, because of the location, especially mainland Greece, it is different.
Yeah.
With regard to, you start off in shorts, t-shirt, but actually as you get higher then, especially when the wind comes into it, you do put on sort of like a mid layer, then you put on your Gore-Tex jacket, and at the top then you actually throw on your down jacket, which is nuts when you think about August in Greece particularly.
Yeah, no, I think for me the jacket that shone the brightest for me was the Gore-Tex. So when we started off in Greece, I remember it was August, and we'll talk a bit about October as well, because we have run some trips in October, and it's a slightly different kettle of fish. But when we were there in August, I remember being quite perturbed by how hot it was when we were in Litachoro. I was thinking, like, my God, this is going to be a grueling trek. It started off warm, absolutely, but not what you'd expect. It wasn't a frying pan. And then by the time you get out of the forested areas, like Andy said, you're at high enough altitude where it's quite cool. And there were times, and then I think I put the down jacket, the Gore-Tex on slightly after lunch, and my one is the Rab. I'll get the name of it. I got a great deal on it. It was a Gore-Tex Pro Rab jacket.
Was that is that the Firewall?
Not the Firewall, no. To be honest, I do like the Firewall because it's our branded jacket. But the most recent one, I found that it's not performing for me.
Here's the Firewall, Dave.
Yeah, so it's not.
I happen to have it here, as if I feel like Blue Peter. You know, was it Blue Peter where they say here one I made earlier?
Yeah.
Good old Blue Peter in the 90s. And here's one I made earlier. So yeah, this is the Rab Firewall, and it's obviously it's got Evertrek on it. There we go. But it's a good jacket for, I would say, a few showers. I mean, we've been in torrential downpours in this, but 100% it wasn't waterproof. No. You know, and I would say the Rab Firewall is kind of like the mid-range jacket. Around £150 is kind of mid-range. I'd say there's some jackets, like you said, Dave, the one you've got, I think, I forgot the name of it, but it's a step up, isn't it? You can just tell with the feel of it.
Yeah, I looked up the Latok, the Rab Latok, Latok. So, but I got a great deal on it. Like, I think they're like 450 quid or something insane. But I remember getting it at almost half price, I think, in Ellis Brigham. So it was a really, really good deal. But the difference is that those jackets, though, see, to highlight those two, the Firewall and the Latok. So it's not, I got the Latok because I go to a lot of places where I think I need a strong jacket. It's Gore-Tex Pro, so it's quite stiff and it's very loud. It's quite annoying to wear. I prefer the feel of the Firewall. And it's just as a wind stopper, the Firewall's great. In relatively mild rain conditions, the Firewall's great. But when the going gets really tough, and I found that in an environment like Summit in Mitterkaas, you know, it's very rocky, it's tough terrain, it's scrambling. Yeah. I think the Rab Latok is a good jacket. But I pretty much put that on and didn't take it off again until we got down to the car park after summiting. You know, it was...
That's true, actually. Yeah, it's one of those all-rounders, isn't it? It's a good one. And it's interesting. And thanks to everyone as well. Big Happy New Year as well, to see some more familiar faces. Hey Jim, how you doing? Hey James, Alison, Julie. Greetings from Tom Martin, Rob, Katie Fraser, Steve, Stuart, great stuff. Pratesh as well. The Rab Infinity, we'll come on to that. And Elizabeth as well. And great that some great questions. Keep putting them in as well. Definitely, because questions are really good. I know obviously me and Dave can talk about all the different types of jackets and everything like that. Especially Elizabeth as well, Andy Dave from Scotland. Hubby and friends have finally booked EBC in October 2028. Awesome, well done. That'll be here before you know it. And Katie as well, looking at Killy in February 28. So definitely any questions, Katie, around Killy, drop them in the comments as well. And Dave, I think we'll swing back around then. I know we've dipped into waterproofs, but let's start with down jackets. I've got a couple here that we can, you know, spark some conversations. Some of them thicker than others. I'll start with probably, and by the way, this is your jacket. And this is, do you remember this one, Dave? The old Patagonia down.
Is that that's my Patagonia?
I found it the other day whilst going through all of the equipment in the attic. So
unbelievable. Do you know how many 2 years I think I've been looking for that jacket?
I knew. I was like, I'm going to bring that. I literally the other day, I was like, I should give this back to Dave sometime soon.
Right. You've saved me genuinely about 170 quid because I was going to buy another one. I've been looking for that everywhere.
I know. And Brian messaged me as well because he was looking for a new jacket. So it was going to go on Vinted. But look, I can give it back to you. It's fine.
Oh, mate, can you, I tell you what, when you come into the office, can you bring that in?
Yeah. But no, this jacket, I would say, is kind of it's similar to the Microlight Alpine with Rab, which I would say is kind of like a mid-layer down jacket in terms of it won't stop a lot of the wind, but it's good if there's low temperatures.
Yeah.
And some people can get away with wearing something like that actively because it's only about 600 to 700 down fill. And fill rate, you know, and not teach everyone to suck eggs because I know a lot of you are already into the outdoors. You're probably already wearing down jackets or waterproof jackets and things. But downfill just basically means it's like the lofted range. And some of the lower ones, you know, the ones that are really thin, more for style than tech, are, you know, 500 to 700. And then above that, then you've usually got the 700 to 859, and they're really thick, you know, and definitely not suitable, I would say, for active wear, more for just, you know, keeping you warm at night. If you're walking around at night, or even if it gets, like say on the summit of Killy and it's windy, it's a down jacket that can really stop the elements from getting in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time you'll see those big, heavy ones are designed for sort of 6,000-meter Himalayan peaks, Kilimanjaro. They often call them belay jackets because they're designed for people who are sort of stood still on an alpine peak, feeding rope up to someone, and you've got to keep the core warm. But I actually think that the stuff like the Microlite, that jacket there, I can't tell you how stoked I am that you found it.
And it's the Patagonia down hoodie.
Yeah, which is weird because it's not a hoodie, it's a jacket, but it just means that they sell them with and without a hood. Yeah, and I actually think they're more useful for the majority of the time that you're hiking, because I'm more likely to wear that one, you know, and actually move about in it. The big heavy down jackets, to be honest, the only time I think I've really used the newest one that we've got, which is the Montane, the jacket,
which I've also got here, by the way, which is this one, which is. I'll bring it here, which I think it's the Alpine 850 light hooded down jacket. It's the long title, but it's
amazing though.
It's quite light, but it gets very lofted, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a really good jacket. I remember when I first put it on. I first put it on, and I remember thinking, I thought, this ain't that good. Thin. I was like, this ain't that good.
Yeah.
And it's one of those times where you notice that jump in technology, because I know quite a few people have mentioned about the Rab. I do love the Rab down jackets. First down jacket I ever got was one that Andy bought and recommended, and I bought the same one.
The Infinity Pro Endurance.
Yeah, the Infinity Pro Endurance of hydrophobic down. So,
which I know Protect will like the sound of that. The Infinity Pro, it's a good jacket. I know there's different versions of it these days.
Yeah, and when you've got that one, and then I replaced that one. Actually, do you know what? I remember that. I borrowed it to someone on a trip in Everest Base Camp.
I remember that.
And it got left there.
Yeah, in Kathmandu.
And then COVID happened, so I didn't go back for sort of quite some years. And in the end, I said to Anuj to give it away. But then I replaced that with the Mountain Equipment Lightline. And both of those jackets feel substantial. Like when you pick them up, they feel heavy, they feel lofty. And when you pick up the Montane, you think to yourself,
well, Dave,
there it is.
The Mountain Equipment Lightline. This is, you can see it is big, it is thicker, but it's older technology. I think in terms of, if you looked at the weight to warmth ratio, this would lose to the other one, the Montane jacket, just because the Montane's lighter. But it serves the same purpose. It's just a lot more lofty. Yeah. It's about 800 Phil, I think, this one.
Yeah, I would also say a lot tougher than the Montane.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, it's the Montane, very, very soft. Like Andy managed to rip his on a journey to London, you know. So you can imagine how long it would last in like a rocky. Like imagine you were doing like a big epic 10-dayer in Toubkal. You know, with those rocky terrain, you know, it's going to suffer. With the Lightline won't, but the Montane will keep you warmer. But I absolutely love that Montane down jacket. It's one of the best things I've ever had. Yeah, really good. I've just saw here Alison Morgan saw Nims die in Poole. That's cool.
Oh, nice. I saw he's been floating around on his UK tour. He's definitely, he's doing a bit more promo these days, isn't he? I've noticed.
Yeah, the waterproof jacket he had was 575. Yeah, but do you know what though? Like, that's great because I'm almost certain it was gifted to him. But for us, the type of stuff that we want to do, you don't have to spend £575 on like an Arc'teryx or like they're not designed for what we are primarily doing, which is hiking and trekking in remote regions. A lot of them are designed so they can survive, like alpine climbing in the Alps or alpine climbing in the Himalaya. So that's why they've got that extra technology in them. But certainly what you're looking for is something to keep the wind off you and keep the rain off you, and you don't have to spend nearly 600 quid for that. But I'm sure if someone offered it to me, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, that is very true. Now, there's so many jackets, aren't there? I know we're touching on now, more of a discussion point really around jackets. And Steve has a good question: to buy before we go or in Kathmandu? Yeah, Steve, really good question. I think definitely for longevity, I'd say, and trust, I'd say there's certain items I probably would buy before you go. Only that I find that actually during your training, so when you're prepping for a trip, especially if you go into Nepal, if you go into the Himalayas, you want to be wearing this jacket during your training, so you know a little bit more. Like, I know it's only a jacket, but it's literally, you know, how do you deal with it when it's wet? How do you deal with it when it's windy? You know, do you wear it with a hood? You know, do you have your zip pockets where you put your phone in or something? It's just familiarity. So for me, I'd recommend, if you can, getting it before, if you've got the budget, to wear a jacket. And sorry, Steve, we're talking about down jackets or waterproofs? Yeah, drop in the comments, mate. I'd say for your down jacket, you can definitely, if you can, get it before. Same with your waterproof. Obviously, if you arrive on our trips for the trekking stuff, not necessarily the peaks, that's different type of jacket. You know, so for the trekking side, you do get free hire of down jackets with us on our trips in Nepal.
Yeah.
So you don't have to buy one; you can use them. But waterproofs, I'd recommend definitely getting one before if you can. Waterproof. Okay, yeah. Steve. Yeah, I'd lean on getting it before. You could probably find one if you turned up in Kathmandu and you didn't have one. It's an amazing area. It's like Kid in the Sweet Shop type thing where there's so many jackets, but they won't be, like, I would say, the best of quality, and they were not all real. So they'll probably last 1, maybe 2, 3 trips, and then they'll start to break down then. So yeah, mate, I'd probably lean towards getting it before, and it'll just last you a lot longer then if you keep it washed, keep it treated. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend. Same for you, Dave? Or?
Yeah, I would recommend the same. I think there are some legitimate shops in Kathmandu, you know, so you can go and like buy a Rab jacket, North Face from their actual stores, but it's not any cheaper, you know, so you're not saving money by doing it. To me, all you're doing is you're rolling the dice on whether they've got your size, and, you know, they may even charge you more. You could, like, because you're relying on the store, where here in the UK, there are places like Ellis Brigham where if you book with Everec, you can get 15% off. You know, you go outdoors, often do great deals, and also the website Sports Pursuit, where you can buy sort of pre-season stuff, meaning the season before, for a lot cheaper. There's so much opportunity for good deals in the UK, particularly, you know, outlet stores. I mean, Anuj was here over the last few days with us, and, you know, one of the things that he really wanted to do was go shopping in the outlets, because you can get a lot of stuff for a lot less than you can in Kathmandu. So yeah.
Anuj is he kind of looks after all the trips in Nepal, but he was over for a few days, wasn't he? It was good to see him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was great to see him. Steve Unsworth said, like the sound of the Latok. Honestly, yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it's a great jacket. Like I said, it is expensive, so I wouldn't buy it full price.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll Google it now, and I bet you I can find one that's there you are.
Is that the Latok? What do we think? 200, 300?
Well, ordinarily it's 480. It's lagging off. Wow. But that's because I never would pay that. Like, for instance, at Ellis Brigham here, I don't like the color. Well, I don't mind green. 480 down to 336. There's another one from Nevis Sport, which I've actually been to. Rab Latok Alpine Gore-Tex jacket, 300 quid. So, you know, you're looking at like
pretty good,
over 180 quid off in a lot of places. Cotswold Outdoor down to 360. See, there's loads of different deals you can get on it, but I highly recommend it. And I will also say I've had that jacket. When did we go to Karua and in Scotland? What year?
Year before last. We stayed up in the little bothy / hostel there.
Was it 2024? Was it? I thought it was 2023.
Yeah, it's mad, right? It flies. Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah. Either way, that's the year I bought that. It was 2023, and 100% it was 2023.
Really?
Yeah, it's 2023. Yeah, I'm certain it was 2023. July 2023. Yeah, it was. It was like August, July 2023, and that's when I bought the Latok. And
a few years are just a blur.
Yeah, and I've used it a lot since then, and skiing as well. And in fact, I borrowed it to one of my friends, our friend Sam, who then I saw sliding down on his back, down the and it held up.
Just some questions as well, and I suppose just to finish with the down jacket stuff, which is good. Elizabeth mentioned, what's your views or preferences with a down or synthetic jacket? Because I know that, like, back when we started doing, you know, even like, because this year's our 10-year anniversary, by the way, for Evertrek, which is nuts. As of March, in March will be our 10-year anniversary, so absolutely mad. So back 10 plus years ago, I would say that the down was the preference then, because it was the synthetic stuff wasn't that good in terms of warmth. But these days, I think it's different. It's difficult to find weaknesses in either. Obviously, if we do have a lot of Evertrekkers who lean to, from a sustainability point of view, they want to use more kind of eco-friendly down, and there are companies like Patagonia, Rab as well now, that they do use kind of sustainable down in terms of how it's collected and farmed, if you like. So there's that to think about. But yeah, I think there's not too much difference now, is it, really, between the synthetic and the actual down these days?
I think the technology is great now, and there's a lot of talk now that the synthetic stuff is actually more water resistant than actual down. I'm not sure that's true, because one of the famed things about down was that it kept you warm if it got wet.
Yeah.
I mean, you never see a cold duck. But the other side of it is, I think the sustainability and also the kind of compassionate side of things. I do like the idea. I mean, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't like the idea that an animal got plucked for my jacket. So I'm more than, if I got two and they perform the same and I'm not paying a huge premium for one over the other, I probably personally make the choice to go for the synthetic one. If it performed the same, it costs the same, and there isn't a little bald duck walking around, because then I am more than happy to do that. So that's great.
I'm just picturing now lots of bald ducks.
I think it's ducks. Or is it goose? Or is it? Or it better not be swans. I doubt if it is. But
duck down, it's good stuff anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, any kind of aquatic bird. I quite like the idea they were left alone so I can stay warm. But yeah, anyway, I think the first thing that matters to most people, I think, is probably price. And I remember synthetic used to be very expensive, and there was only a couple of businesses that did it, like Patagonia, and they're quite expensive. I think Columbia were quite good at it, actually.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think, but now, pretty much the world's your oyster. I think all major brands are now cotton on to it.
Exactly, and it with down jackets, it's one of those as well, isn't it? That sometimes just because it's got a big number in terms of downfill doesn't mean it's like amazing, because it could be kind of spread out a bit. Whereas you get these down jackets, and especially I'd say the ones that are 200 plus, because you can find down jackets for under £100 in sort of stores like Mountain Warehouse or something like that. But the quality isn't quite there, as in they've got these things called baffles, which anyone that's ever worn a down jacket, you've got these little baffles, which are these sections. Basically, each section is like a baffle. Some of them are bigger than others, and some of them are tightly woven. And sometimes then what you get is, if they're too big, you'll get cold patches because the down moves around. So you get ones then, certain designs, especially from like Montane, I find are really good. And Patagonia, as in they're quite tight, they're quite small baffles, which means there's less cold areas. Yeah. So there's things to look out for. There's things like that. I mean, to the general day-to-day use, it won't matter. But I think if you're ever on the summit of Kilimanjaro and you're freezing your nuts off, and you want a jacket that's going to stand up in that kind of weather, instead of going for something that's kind of cheap in that way, because otherwise you'll have to wear like 3 or 4 layers underneath just to achieve the same feat of keeping warm.
I do quite like this what Neil Saxon Jones has just put in for mountain equipment, their outlet Magic Mountain. I just googled it. I didn't really know about that.
Magic Mountain, that's a great name for an outlet, isn't it?
I'm just want to go there. Is it owned? Is this an official mountain equipment outlet, or is it just a store that sells their stuff? Anyway, interesting, because they sell some other stuff as well. I'm going to check that out, mate. Thank you very much.
You shop.
Just having a quick look at those. So, any other questions? Oh, yeah, Paula Brewer said the long ponchos that you can pick up in Kathmandu are also a great idea for covering you in the rain. It's a bit relentless. 100%. Especially as well. Marky V says my sound is breaking up. Is that coming to?
Yeah, I think David. I think it's your headphones. It's a bit crackly, I think. I know. I realized Marky V put it in capitals as well, just so you don't miss it.
Yeah, well, in that case, let me try. Does that sound any better? I've switched mics now, so it's picking me up on the camera.
Yeah, that's it. Miles better, mate. Miles better.
Yeah. There you are. Perfect.
There we go. That's a little bit better, isn't it? So, Dave, just moving on then, and let's talk about trips, because I know we've talked about down jackets, talked a little bit about waterproof, and in terms of being suitable for trips, like, okay, we've got these different down jackets now with gear that's appropriate, say, for EBC compared to Machu Picchu. What would you lean towards, like taking to somewhere like EBC instead of Machu Picchu? I know and Kili. I know the big three trips that we do.
So
are there jackets that would suit all of them, or would you kind of have to get separate jackets?
There are jackets that would suit all of them, but there are some perhaps subtle differences depending on sort of when you go and things like that. And the environments are, so having done all three, I would say, look, you're going to want a warm down jacket, one that you're going to put on in the evenings and one you're going to put on if the going gets really cold. In that case, it doesn't really matter how warm it is. Like, I mean, on the higher end, just get a good down jacket. That'll do all three. However, for activity-based and things like that, you also need a waterproof. But the waterproof that you need, like trekking in like the Latok, for instance, I could trek, high altitude on EBC with that quite comfortably. I could trek with that quite comfortably in Machu Picchu. But on Kilimanjaro, you get these showers in the afternoon, and it's often really still quite warm. So the ponchos there is something that I think are used far more often on Kilimanjaro than I've seen on any other trip. You do see them on other trips, but on Kilimanjaro, the ponchos are used like all the time.
Yeah.
Because you want something that you're going to throw on that's going to keep the rain off you for half an hour, and you're not going to overheat in it and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think that's a bit different. To be honest as well, Machu Picchu was an interesting one because I'd been frozen, wind blasted, and boiled all within
it has it all, doesn't it?
All within a 2-week trip. So honestly, I think the best advice I can give if you want a singular piece of advice that helps with all trips is prepare for all 4 seasons, is what I will say, and bring enough stuff so you can trek in shorts and t-shirt, which I did a lot in Machu Picchu. Then there was the nights. Remember the first couple of nights in those tents?
Pretty cold.
So cold. And then, we finished off back down towards Ollantaytambo, shorts and t-shirt again. So being able to sort of have enough sort of insulative layers, which are like nice woolly fleeces, stuff that keeps the sweat off your skin, stuff that's like kind of breathable and also waterproof, but never at the same time. And something like big and warm to put on. But to be honest, I think we wore our down jackets, just on the summit of not the summit, but the top of Tokto.
Yeah. Tokto. I think sometimes at night as well, just from comfortability, it's like as soon as the sun goes down, you could chuck a hoodie on, but to be extra warm around camp, you just chuck it on, don't you? And it's nice, and you're playing Uno or you're eating dinner, and it's just nicer. Because I think you're right. Like one thing that I kind of notice as well is when you're thinking about a beast of a jacket, and a good question from Pratesh as well about lightweight packable and stuff. We'll come on to that in a sec as well. Is that a lot of the time, like personally, I use my Gore-Tex jacket when walking a lot, just to kind of say I wear a base layer. So imagine if this was a base layer, and then all I would do would basically wear the Gore-Tex jacket over it, just because it's a little bit breathable. And I suppose with the lightweight ones, Pratesh, you do get a little more breathability. So if you're overexerting yourself, you're on steep terrain, you're sweating a bit, as long as you've got a decent base layer, there's no point wearing cotton if you've got a Gore-Tex jacket. As long as you've got a decent merino wool or bamboo or something like that, like an icebreaker that can wick away the sweat underneath the Gore-Tex jacket, you'll wear that probably 80% of the time. So definitely, even though it's good to take a lightweight pack-away jacket, but a lot of waterproofs are pretty lightweight anyway. You want to make sure it's pretty good in the wind, so you don't feel every single thing. Because you imagine when you're moving, I mean, when you're moving, you're warm anyway, but as soon as you stop then and you're sweating a bit, you can get cold quite quickly. So there's all these different things to think about. And in terms of what are the chances of rain on EBC in March and April, I'd say in March, actually quite cold. So we do see that on a lot of treks over the last kind of several years in March that we do get a lot of snow because you're coming out of winter. I mean, so what that means is lower down, so maybe the first day from Lukla to Phakding up to Namche, maybe up to 4,000 meters, you might get some rain, but then above then you're going to get snow if there's any weather. April it's a little bit warmer, so I'd say you might get a little bit more rain. Although, to be honest, there's not a lot of rain. I mean, you never know, of course, and we've had some instances of just crazy weather coming in out of nowhere over the last few years. But I'd say April's a pretty consistent, good weather month. So hopefully you won't get any rain. But what's your specific date, Pritesh? Is it the end of March, going into April? I could check just to see, because you'll probably get, hopefully you'll be okay with regards to the weather.
Yeah.
A lightweight pack-away jacket, do you reckon that would suffice, Dave?
I mean, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that the chances of having a lot of rain at that time of year is low. So, I mean, now I've said that, Pritesh, you're going to get drenched in the biggest season monsoon rains that has ever existed. However, that aside, the chances of it are quite low. So I wouldn't be packing for a winter trip in Wales in terms of that much wet weather gear. But at the same time, a light pack-away jacket, is it waterproof? If it is, great, bring it. Yeah. You can also bring a poncho if you want, and maybe some waterproof trousers. They don't weigh anything and they pack quite flat. So I usually, on most trips I go on, I've learned to just, if it gives you peace of mind, bring it anyway, and make the decision the night before you fly to Lukla if you're too heavy. Which is, by the way, the last time I flew to Lukla as well, I think I was like 14.5 kg.
That's pretty accurate, Dave.
Absolutely nailed it. I was well on it. I just decided to get all my snacks and stuff in Lukla and Namche. It was great.
Dave. I'm gonna call you Jave from now on. Switching gears to say 6,000 meter peaks. So talking about Island Peak, Mera Peak, maybe Lobuche, anything higher. What about down jackets for those trips?
Yeah, you're gonna need something. Then you're looking at like a specific piece of. It's not just a hiking jacket; it's mountaineering equipment essentially.
Yeah.
So, and not the brand. I mean, it's a piece of equipment that you need. So you need to be looking at higher level stuff. You don't necessarily, again, have to spend £600 on a down jacket, but you definitely don't want to be bringing like that Patagonia one Andy showed me. It would be wildly inadequate. It looks good, and to the untrained eye, that's a down jacket. That's what you're going to use.
Good, Dave. You're going to be seeing it too.
Exactly. I can't wait to get that back. but to the untrained eye, you would say you need a down jacket. You would look at that one and you think that's a down jacket, but you would be so cold and potentially, unless it was a really unseasonably warm mountain, you wouldn't be able to summit. The risk of hypothermia would be too great. So you would need something like the Montane jacket that Andy's got, the black one, potentially even like a bigger one if you're going to go to like Aconcagua or anywhere like that. Yeah. But essentially you're going to need something circa 850, 900 fill. Yeah. With a hood and a high zip and a technical hood as well. A lot of them just have this big, weird, puffy hood. Ideally, you're going to want something that's going to stretch and fit over a helmet. And the same goes, for the sleeping bag. You need a -25 down fill sleeping bag. Yeah. That's the time, where I actually think I'm buying a piece of potentially life-saving equipment. So I worry less about the morality of sort of synthetic or down, and I go for the very best jacket I can get for the very best price. One of the things I'd always say as well is do your research as well, and part of that research, if you book with us, should be to call the Yetis in the office and talk to us about it, because we've not only advised thousands of people on what to get, we have received thousands of pieces of feedback on the stuff. So we've been doing this for a long time. So automatically we can point you directly in the correct place. Get this jacket, try that one, research this, and we can take the doubt out of the situation for you as well.
Exactly. And with regards to kind of jackets like that, I think that's where you do see the jump in price, don't you? I think when you've got something that's specific to specific and also can affect your life, you want to rely on these, like you said, Dave. If you're going to go above 6,000 meters, especially if there's bad weather, you want to make sure you've got the right gear. You want your finger and toes to still be there afterwards, and sometimes paying for some decent stuff, it's worth its weight in gold.
Exactly. And there are some times as well where it can be innocuous. We all know that we need good equipment if we break a leg. We're going to be on the mountain a while, or if you have to help someone or something like that. But it could be that you just get to a bit of a log jam. There's a slow moving group and it's not safe for you to pass. That happens on all peaks. I know that Everest and all of those get the bad views, but it happens on Pen y Fan. You know, it's like there's an occasion where you're thinking, you know what, it's not best mountain etiquette right now to rush past these people. I don't want to unclip, so I'm just gonna have to wait it out. And if you're stood still on somewhere like Mera, 5,500 meters, and it's minus 25 and there's wind, then the jacket that you wear is going to, one, ensure that you're able to continue on safely to the summit, and two, stop you getting hypothermia, you know, and ending up in a real situation yourself. So 100%, yeah, you're gonna have to invest. When you choose to do a 6,000 meter peak, that's the one thing whenever I tell people is that it's become relatively routine. And I think people think of Island Peak and Mera Peak almost along the same lines of Kilimanjaro, because they're a similar altitude. But there's a big difference between Kilimanjaro and the 6,000 Himalayan peaks. One of them is a true trekking peak where the same gear that got you to EBC and Machu Picchu will be fine for the summit. The other is a very specific undertaking that needs specific equipment. You know, so for instance, there's not a huge difference in altitude really between the summit of Kili and Island Peak, but you can't do Island Peak without double layered B3 boots, crampons, really good down jacket, harness, carabiners, ropes, helmet. Where you can do Kili, I saw one guy in tweed.
You know, I remember that guy actually. I was thinking fair dues, but I mean clearly the tweed worked, so he's still here.
Yeah, no, he was a legend, that guy. I remember we were talking to him, saying, "Have you found that stag yet?" Because he looked like an old style hunter.
I do remember that. That's funny. That's funny. Whilst I remember, we are running another live training this evening, 7 p.m. This one's all around Machu Picchu, so I've dropped the link in. I think we've got about 10-15 spaces left, so definitely if anyone fancies learning about Machu Picchu, myself, I'll be doing the talk about it, and then me and Dave are doing the Q&A at the end. That's tonight at 7, so I've dropped it in the comments if anyone would like to see. I know on Instagram it's a little bit different, just because I will see it, because links on Instagram don't work. So do, if you can, go over to our YouTube or Facebook channel and grab the link if you want to do that. Some good questions though coming in. Good to see you, Zach. Hope all is well. Your message earlier, definitely replied. Alison, is ABC similar in temperatures to EBC in October and November?
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't know whether you were just pausing for effect or letting me fill the gap. Yes, they are. Yeah. Quite similar altitudes, obviously different regions, but in October, November, relatively same in the mountainous regions in Nepal, because they're technically, it's the same part of Nepal. You know, you're not going from like eastern Nepal to western or northern or something like that. So that's good. James Galashin said, I was in Antarctica last February. They supplied us with a jacket. Would that be adequate for Kili? I'm going to hazard a guess of yes, but before I commit 100%, I'd still need to know what make and model the jacket is, because did they provide you with something that is just a jacket, or was it a specific bit of really good, equipment? I need to know.
By the sounds of it, keep you warm.
I'm gonna say, that's what I'm gonna say.
I'm
gonna hazard a guess and say that it's probably fine if it's suitable for Antarctica, because I know it can get pretty chilly down there. But there is, I still need to know. I'm too, when it comes to kit, I can't guess, because I'll go, yes, it was fine, and then you'll email me and say, I nearly froze to death, Dave. That light, tiny little thing they provided me wasn't good enough, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So it does depend on what they give you.
James asks as well, this video being repeated? Yes, so it does. It saves on YouTube and Facebook, so you'll be able to view it. I know it's streamed live, so you'll be able to kind of watch it back if you like. Yeah, definitely. Julia as well. Hey guys, starting Gokyo Circuit, Gobi Valley on 28th of March. Excited, trepidatious. That's all right. And any first trip like this is there's always those little feelings, isn't it? Wondering you've got everything, you're going to be fine. Do we need vaccines? So yeah, first question, do we need vaccines? Yes. With Nepal, if you do go to, because we can list them off here just from the top of our head, but if you do go onto Google, just look at, if you're from the UK, go to the NHS website. They'll give you recommended vaccines, what you need. Most of them are, the ones you need every 10 years, the diphtheria, typhus, diphtheria, I think. There's a few there. Definitely get those ones. There are some optional ones as well that you can get, things like rabies, which you do need. I mean, I know we're creeping towards March now. I think you need to spread them out a bit. So definitely have a little look, and then hook up with a travel health clinic as well, like Nomad. That's where, a lot of our team, a lot of Evertrekkers get it, go and get their travel vaccinations. So have a little look. And then the other questions, do Sherpas carry Diamox? So yeah, in terms of our guides and all the Evertrek guides, they do carry it. Some people like to have their own, but they have some, especially in the UK, it's difficult to get it prescribed. Travel health clinics can prescribe it, so again, worth covering that if you're going for the vaccines, having a chat. But with the guides, it's used in more of a kind of reactive way. So, for instance, if say 4 or 5 days in, you're starting to struggle with the altitude and you're acclimatizing, most of the time, I would say if you focus on your hydration, now it sounds boring, 3 liters a day is a minimum. Hopefully you'll minimize it, because obviously the guide can control your pace. But regarding altitude, so hopefully you won't need Diamox. But if you do, in emergencies and to try and help, they can give it to you as well. With the other stuff, Dave, the broad spectrum antibiotics, acute med.
So, to be honest, my advice would be with all of this, so our guides are not doctors, so technically shouldn't be giving anybody any prescription medications like that. However, they do carry things in the event of an emergency, where the best thing to do for your health balancing is to give you those type of things. However, the advice is to go to a travel clinic like Nomad Travel Clinic. I think there's also Fleet Street in London, is called. They will be able to actually prescribe you stuff that is safe for you to take. That's what we always say is the gold standard. Bring in your own things like antibiotics, stuff for like travel sickness, like diarrhea and things like that. The acute meds, those things is always best to bring with you, because you would have had a consultation with a professional in this country who makes sure that they're safe. And that includes Diamox and things like that. Like Andy said, our guys do carry it. They use it reactively, so in an emergency to kind of, keep you healthy and safe. But shouldn't really be relied on for things like antibiotics. Always bring those yourself. With the broad weather changes, yes, that's my advice for any trip, any time of year, any part of the country. Yes, it is entirely possible that you will have huge weather swings no matter when you go, because it is a mountainous region. The weather can be unpredictable. Climate change is also having an effect on things as well. So we're noticing things are slightly changing up in terms of the monsoon and winter and things like that. Hopefully that helps.
Nice. I just noticed your T-shirt as well, Dave. Loving it.
Yeah. Do you know where we've got this one?
Namche, by any chance?
Namche, yeah. It was the Sherpa shop in Namche.
Ah, amazing. Was that in November?
That was in November, yeah. This is apparently said it's the only place you can get this T-shirt is in Namche.
There we go. It's a good T-shirt. That I like that.
I've also got a North Face one, and the only place you can buy that is in the shop in Namche or the one in Kathmandu. They sell the Namche one there as well.
I thought you were going to say then the only place you could buy that is in a North Face store.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Really good questions as well, and it's great. Just all these different. I know obviously we're talking about jacket layers, all that stuff. Any questions good? We got about another kind of 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Kulwinder, I'm doing first time EBC. Awesome. Exciting times. How much training do I need, and the clothes as well? So yeah, I mean, some big questions there. I'd say the training, definitely. And Kulwinder, I do remember, I think you were on the Couch to, was it the Couch to Killy last week? Or I know the recent, one of our live training sessions. Certainly the training is just getting out there, especially with EBC, because it's just walking. So just get out there, pack on your back, get some miles under you. If you can do sort of 6-7 hours, one day. And then if you can, obviously depending on, life and stuff, I know it's always difficult to do back-to-backs. But if you can spend a weekend just doing 2 days in a row, it's good, because the second day you'll be hiking with a little bit of more tired muscles, and it's always good because that's what you'd be doing on the trek. So anything to mimic the same sort of stuff, anything that has undulations, they don't have to be epics, because especially on EBC, you're journeying through a landscape, you're not climbing a peak, but anything where you can get a little bit of up and down, very much to what you'd be doing on the trails. And then just experience your kit. I know you mentioned things like clothes and things like that. Definitely jump onto the Everest Base Camp page, which I will put on here. I'll put the link. Bear with me 2 seconds while I grab the link for you, and you can actually get the full equipment guide. So I'll put that in the link now for you. If you go to that link there, if you go to the equipment section, there'll be a little box there, and you can download the equipment, and that is every bit of equipment that you need for EBC. So hopefully that answers your questions. I mean, we do have. I know we're doing it on certain bits of equipment today, but we have done lives before. If you go back to our YouTube channel, which they're all saved, or if you want to listen to them, jump onto our podcast. You can listen to me and Dave talk about equipment if you haven't had enough already. And there's ones there that are specifically around specific equipment. So just if that helps you a bit more, mate. I hope that helps.
Awesome.
Nice. Just trying through the comments. No worries, Sandy. I hope that's useful. Cool window. Yeah, I do remember exactly. Lee Wyatt, good to see you, Lee. Hope you had a good Christmas, mate. Just looking on here, James. Sorry, mate. I'm just reading. Puffy does Polar Parkerby Terso.
I looked it up. I can't find anything on it.
I reckon it's going to be fine. It might be if anything.
If it's a Parker type jacket, I would say it might not be that suitable because they're big, heavy jackets designed, not entirely designed for sort of trekking activities. My advice would be have a look at the Montaigne jacket that Andy showed, that 850 one. Very reasonably priced and an amazing jacket. Have a look at that one. I think if it was given to you by the Arctic cruise operators or something like that, I think they're probably really, really warm, but more designed for sort of general activity as opposed to sort of strenuous hiking and climbing.
Exactly. I think you're right. There's ones that are definitely probably more suitable, and you can hire locally as well if you don't want to get a big outlay. But the ones we've touched on today, definitely, if you look at those, and again, go onto the specific web, go onto the Kili page, have a look at the specific equipment. There'll be some there that's probably a bit more suitable. So looking, Julia, so you've got cleaning water bladders at the top tea houses. What do you recommend? Certainly at the tea houses, because we filter our water in Nepal, so the guides will take your bladder and your water bottles and they'll filter the water and put it in. In terms of cleaning them, I'd say, you can give it a good rinse. As long as there's running water, you can give it a good rinse, or speak to your guides, and all the assistant guides and your porters who can help you out. But you can definitely, some people give it a bit of rinse, but if it's clean when you go in, filtered water throughout the trip, you probably only want to clean it at the end.
I would have said I've never cleaned it, or no one really cleans it. You don't really need to, because you only need to clean it when it's been left for a while. But as you're going to be filling it and emptying it, filling it and emptying it every day with purified water, there should be no reason to need to clean it. Elizabeth Henderson, what upcoming treks are you guys participating in? To be honest, we've had a busy end to the year, really. So we did sort of Mount Olympus, then Machu Picchu, then there was a trip to Nepal, all within about 3 months. So at the minute, I haven't got nothing locked in. We were talking to Anuj when he was over about potentially doing a Nepalese peak.
In November.
At the minute, the only trek that we've got in is 4 days of Cornwall, southwest coast.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll be on some trips. We generally, because all of our trips are guided, locally guided, so we don't send Western leaders on our trips. But we do, throughout the year for specific things. Especially, we got some new trips launching this year. So we'll be certainly in and around those. But generally, members of the team, sometimes me and Dave as well, we do catch up with some of our team just to make sure everything's going smoothly. So no doubt you might see us floating around rather than on specific dates. We're floating around. So you might see us around Kathmandu, or you might see us in Peru, for example. But we got some more European stuff coming up. So this year, which is quite exciting. But no, good. Yeah, hopefully we bump into each other on a trip. We do have. We are on 2 of the training weekends in the UK. So we got one coming up in June, which is in North Wales. Definitely highly recommend you join that. It's a really good trip. I know lots of the Evertrekkers on here have been on these trips over the last several years. So definitely go onto the Evertrek website, have a look at the UK trips. Me and Dave will be on those. And I think it was Alison, wasn't it? I think asking around Birmingham, which we are. Yeah, we're at the NEC again, Birmingham Expo. So I think it's the end of March. Me and Dave will be there. Yeah, we've done it the last couple of years. It's been great. Always good to see Evertrekkers. So anyone that wants to come and see us in person, just chat about your trips. Yeah, lovely to meet you. Obviously, I know it's weird. We're literally the other side of screens, but yeah, it'd be great to chat with you. Right, Dave. I'm just going through the questions. Any more that you see on there?
No, all good. I think so. Some general comments, but I think we've got mainly all the ones to do with kit and thinking like that. So
I did see one from Lee actually. You guys ever looked at collabing with Real Meal and Mission Tea? Yeah, Lee, I've not heard of those brands. Ping them across, mate. Yeah, always looking to connect and. Certainly, yeah. If you've used them and you think they're any good, yeah, definitely. It's be good to see what they do. I take it, are they like the Real Meal? Are they like meals whilst trekking or in the outdoors, or they like dried stuff? Is it that you can cook things like that? Yeah, bring them across. It'd be great to see. I've especially if you're doing any camping, wild areas, that kind of stuff. Great stuff. Well, look, I hope it's been useful today, Dave. It's been great. I know this feels a bit old school, doesn't it? Like during COVID doing this.
I know, yeah, it's the old days.
It's been nice. But yeah, ironically, we're going to switch now for tonight. So I'll be in the office and you'll be at home.
100%.
Great stuff. Lovely to see you all. We're back next week. We've got a bit of a special one next week. Jonathan Davis, the Welsh rugby legend, the British Lion. He's coming into Evertrek HQ, just chatting about his EBC trip that he did with us. I know we did a Tuesday tune in with him before he went, but we're gonna have a little chat about that again, how he found it, some of the lessons. Also, as well, he's got Kilimanjaro trip coming up in August with us. I think it's August, and there's maybe a couple of spaces left. So yeah, definitely we'll be chatting about his upcoming journey as well. And yeah, it'd be nice to see him. He's a lovely guy. Yeah, really cool guy, and it's great to chat about his experiences. So yeah, we'll be back with that next week.
Awesome.